welcome to the Underground, my little underground with Peter A.
It's My Little Underground. I'm Peter A. LA-based singer-songwriter Shannon Lay is back on the show talking about her new album, Past the Veil, out on her very own label, All the Best. She also reflects on her time at Sub Pop, shares her vision for how her label should run, and how she finds peace in these chaotic times that we're living in. Always good to talk with Shannon Lay right here on My Little Underground.
My little underground.
What's up?
Hi, how's it going?
Good to see ya.
You too. Been a minute.
Well, I want to give my condolences to the late great Asa.
Oh,
So sorry
thank
about that.
you. Thank you.
Yeah.
I miss her. I feel her all the time. Like she's just with me in another way now, for sure.
Yeah, how are you feeling?
Yeah. Good. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I ended up after the fact talking to this pet psychic that my friend recommended because she passed away while I was on tour. So it was kind of this like really
Oh,
jarring thing to like come back and she was just gone. And it was really helpful. I mean, it might have been mumbo jumbo, but it was still like really comforting, and they gave me like some good advice about just like kind of clearing the energy in my house, and it was yeah. I don't know. I hope she's doing okay. I think she's all right.
what kind of advice
Well,
specifically?
they told me to like basically clean every corner, like dust all the corners to just like kind of, stir up the energy. And it was really sweet because in the process I found a bunch of her footprints, and every time I found one, I painted it onto the furniture because like she would leave her footprints in the dust. And so,
Wow.
like, I even painted some on my car because I do ceramics in my garage, and they're like, she would walk in the clay and then walk on my car. There'd just be footprints all over my car, and
Yeah.
I like could not bring myself to wash off the last one, so I got like car paint and like painted her footprints on the car. But
Yeah.
yeah, they told me to just kind of like move my living room around and like clean in the corners, and then I made her like a really beautiful shrine. I was able to like bury her in the backyard, which was really something. I'm so glad I was able to do that, and just gave her like a nice memorial, and yeah, she's got a nice little spot out there under the hammock. It's pretty chill.
There is something like healing about, cleaning this your space because if you come home from work or coming home from tour, if your house is cleaned or arranged in a certain way, it kind of gives you peace a little bit, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that like there is something to be said for like keeping the energy flowing in the home, and like yeah, that helps a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But maybe you can say this, maybe not, but maybe your healthish treasure is Past the Veil and your new label All the Best, right? Wouldn't you say?
Sure.
That's the mentality I had when I
I
heard
love
that.
that.
It was very sad, but I'm like, okay, at least you have, your healthish treasure is coming. No rich billionaire is gonna come and try to take, your treasure.
Totally. So appropriate too, because she was named after the one of the hellfish. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And just before you got on, I went back and I watched that clip of Abe Simpson sitting in his room and he goes through his mail and then he gets to notice that
The
Ace
final
Fox is
hellfish has died. Yeah. Oh my God. So good.
yeah, it's amazing. So R.I.P. to Asa. Um,
Yeah.
I did see you packaging the vinyl for Past the Veil, and I thought that was so cool. And from my perspective, um, it's probably like freeing for you, or maybe therapeutic for you to like package your own music to send out to people, right?
It was really cool. I'd
Yeah,
never done that before. And I was also able to fulfill this dream I've always had of not doing shrink wrap on a record. Like I've always hated shrink wrap because it just feels so wasteful. So we put
yeah,
everything just right into like nice heavy duty poly bags that like, people just store records in general. And with everyone, like I was just putting love into it. I think the more that you can be in touch with like the physical object, like the more that's going to transmit to people that it get to receive it. It just yeah, it was really cool.
yeah, yeah,
And the vinyl plant that I found is like 5 blocks from my house. It's this newer spot called Vinyl Ceremony, and it's
yeah.
right in Pasadena. It was just like such a cool thing to like keep it in the neighborhood. It's great.
Oh man, that's amazing because that's definitely who you are,
Yeah,
as a person, just being in touch with your local music community and
totally.
yeah.
Yeah,
And it's
yeah.
kind of rare those to, for vinyl pressing plants or like a rare commodity these days. You know, outside of like Jack White, you know, with his Third Man Records, they're kind of hard to come by, right?
Yeah,
Did you know
totally.
of any other ones besides the one you found near you?
Yeah, it was between Vinyl Ceremony and this other one called Good Neighbor, and they're
Yeah,
really rad too. They do a lot of eco vinyl, which is, supposedly like a better for the environment kind of material that they use.
yeah.
But ultimately it just was so appealing to me to yeah, keep it in the family, and they did let me, like, they don't always let you do that. They don't always let you come in and like package everything. And to be honest, I did it to like save some money. Like I was like, oh, well, I could save some bucks if I just go do this myself, and I don't mind. So it was fine.
Yeah, yeah, right.
Yeah.
So all this is coming out through your new imprint, All the Best. Like how long was this in the works for?
This was just a solution to, I think, knowing that in a few years I'd be getting back a lot of my music, like with Sub Pop, things will come back to me, and like I think it's like 7 or 8 years now, and like thinking about having just like a home for my art in general. I think it'll be like kind of a general umbrella for everything that I do. But still kind of elaborating on it and like learning what it wants to be. But it just felt like a nice thing to like give it kind of an entity rather than just saying like self-releasing this. Might as well start
Yeah.
a little way. Yeah.
Yeah. And are you also gonna maybe down the line, maybe this is not immediate, but like getting more artists to come on
I
or
would
no?
love to do that.
Yeah.
I would love to do that because I do think that the label model is shifting, and I think that it's gonna become, I hope, much more like artist focused. Like there's less of like I would love to be able to just like be more of like a label services for people where it's like this is what you need to do, this is the information that you need, this is like the way that you put it, like get it out there, because it's just not like a super self-explanatory venture. So having a bit of know-how and just being able to help people, I would love to like eventually be able to share the knowledge and help people out.
Yeah, yes. Yeah, so let's talk about that a little bit. So tell me like how do you see a record label run in your eyes?
Mm. I mean, with Sub Pop, it was like having this like immense like cheerleading section.
Mm,
Like they were just constantly cheering me on. They had a person for every single aspect, the art, the social media, the publishing, the artwork for the vinyl. Like every single department had its own person with like such strengths in that area. So it was so easy to just be the artist in the mix, and like I would just make the music and hand it over, and it would all happen like really seamlessly. So I think, honestly, I think the whole model is shifting in a way because even the people who have been doing it for years don't really know how it's done anymore. Like I think that like everything is kind of changing. So being open to like for instance with this record, I did everything that I thought a label should do. I got press, I got radio, and I mean in the end the budget went so quickly that it was just like, oh yeah, this is such a money pit, but it's all kind of luck, really. Like whether people hear it or not, whether it catches or not is really kind of random. So I just put as much of it as I could of myself into it, and I mean, hopefully it'll pay off. But labels in the end, I think, are just this like admin team that really, because there was so much admin that I had to do, all
right.
of the like paperwork and the planning and like figuring out the release dates and like kind of doing all of that, which is also optional. You don't have to do singles, you don't have to do like a rollout, so to speak. Like you can just put it out. But
Yeah.
I wanted to kind of play label just to see how that felt. And it felt pretty good, but it also felt like I could skip a lot of the steps next time. It did feel like I kind of just, could even simplify it even more and it would still be okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, a lot of experimenting. And with what I've learned from working with labels, it was nice to have kind of the knowledge of like where we've been, but I feel like where we're going is like a little bit different. So, in a way. Yeah.
What would you do? Like, what will you skip? Like the next time you put out a record in this way?
I mean, I ended up doing radio in the UK, which was cool, but I don't have any plans to go over there. So I think it would have been more beneficial if I had like a tour planned.
Right.
Um, and then when it comes to press, I was just really, I'm really curious how people are like receiving press at the moment. Like music blogs and stuff. Like, are people looking at them anymore? Is that how people are finding out about things and like getting information? I was a little bit like, because a lot of times the websites or blogs, they'll just post the press release, which is just what you wrote, and then they'll post it. And sometimes there'll even be like typos in like the headline. You know what I mean? Like a lot of it feels a little bit AI, a little bit lazy, a little. It was just like, yeah, I don't know. It was an interesting aspect of it. So I just feel like everything's in flux right now. But I mean,
Yeah.
I think that press is still something that's worthwhile. I think, especially if people have written about you before, chances are they'll write about you again. And the role of press is to just kind of alert everyone that something is coming so that
Yeah.
they can, include it if they want to. Yeah.
Whatever you feel comfortable sharing. I don't want to get
Yeah.
too much into your business, but now that you started your own label, what are some major takeaways that you can discuss, or you feel comfortable discussing about your time at Sub Pop?
Yeah, I mean, I did so much good growing there. Like I really felt like I just kept seeing my work get better and better. And I felt my sense of confidence getting stronger with them too. It made the separation so painful because basically what happens when you with the contract that I signed with them, it was one record with the option of two. So the
Right.
option gives them they can basically either opt in or out. And so I did the second record, and with the third record they opted out. And it was really unexpected. I was like at that point where I was so excited and like geared up to make the next thing. And then my whole, they just pulled the rug out and it was like, okay, let's go from here. But I mean, once they kind of departed, still felt strong because of what I went through there, because of like the structure that they gave me. I was able to stand on my own in a way that I don't think I could have if I didn't have just that like sense of confidence that they imbued in me. There was really just this like, keep going and like, this was so much about like the business of it. It wasn't like they were knocking my art. It was just that like the business side of it wasn't working for them. So, that's what they do. A label is the business side of music, which I've always found to be kind of an oxymoron, the music business, because it's so personal, you know? And I got so close with so many people there, and it was, I mean, it really did feel like a breakup. It was heartbreaking. But I mean, in the end, I'm so proud of everything that I made with them. I think I did a lot of great work, and now it's kind of just on to the next chapter. And same with the labels who came before them, like Woodsist and Do Not Disturb. Each one was just such an important stepping stone and really just included people being like, keep going, giving me the opportunity and like the encouragement that I needed to keep going, especially as a solo artist, because it can be really hard to like find your own wind under your sails sometimes.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
interesting because, you're an capital A artist, right? So when I'm hearing guys like this is not like a music business album. I mean,
Right.
it's a phenomenal album, right?
Right.
And I'm so like I was kind of like surprised that, when you hooked up with Sub Pop and that album came out, So it's interesting. And so when it comes to like the business side of things, like does that not ruin, I guess ruin is for lack of a better term, did it kind of like sour you on making music? Did you feel less motivated at all
Mm.
after that?
If anything, it soured me on the business because
Oh,
like
right.
I just saw that everything was so conditional. And I think that conditional relationships can be really challenging, especially when you're bringing so much of your heart into something.
Yeah.
Um, so I just, that was another motivation for wanting to start my own entity, was just like I want something that is not shakable and does not depend on what someone else thinks. Like I'm betting on myself and I'm devoted to my creativity, and it's not like someone telling me to stop is going to stop me, And it's not like they told me to stop. It was just, we're not going to do this with you anymore. Good luck. And then, of course, there's that moment of just like, what does this mean about me? What does this mean about my worth? What does this mean about my value? So, after getting over the moment of insecurity that inevitably comes with any form of rejection, then you reassess and I mean, in the end, I'm going to be making music forever, and it makes sense that something I've been in a relationship with for so long is going to change and ebb and flow and grow in different ways. So it was unexpected, but in the end, I mean, Past the Veil wouldn't have happened without these circumstances. Like, ironically, I think this record would do amazing on Sub Pop, but again, I don't know that it would have happened if they would have kept me. So,
Yeah, yeah. And when
yeah.
you look at just how music is now in 2026, both in the the big pop world and even in the smaller self-release, kind of underground music communities around the country,
Hmm.
where does that leave record labels? Because any artist can just do things on their own and kind of the distribution channels are at your disposal, right?
Sure.
So
Yeah.
like how do you see that happening? And
Mm.
like, does it need to exist in 2026? You know what I mean? Like, does
Sure.
I guess like maybe what you were saying earlier, like just the education about
Mm.
music business and what people may be signing,
Hmm.
just giving people that knowledge, right? So like,
Hmm.
what are your thoughts on that, just generally speaking?
I mean, in my dream scenario, labels would be patrons,
Right.
and they would support artists that have proven that they live and breathe art. You know what I mean? Like, I just think that there's a little bit too much. Like, I feel like people who get signed now are already big. You know what I mean? They want someone who like already has a following, already has, a ton of listeners, and then they want a piece. And I think that there's a little bit less of the building of the artist. So it's just interesting to me because as I did spend a year shopping the record around to other labels because that was what I'd always done. I'd always had this kind of support system. And what I found was that my seniority was like a little bit of a disadvantage. And people like weren't as interested in me because this was my fifth record because because I had proven myself the way that I had, they weren't as excited about it. And in my opinion, like I've proven myself to be like a reliable songwriter. I can do this. I love doing this and I'll always be doing this. And for that not to be something that people saw as an asset was super trippy to me. So if
Yeah.
if I had like a dream scenario, my if I had like the label be backed by all the finances that I could imagine, it would just be me basically giving grants to people to do what they love to do so that they don't have to have a day job, so that they could just, make art and sustain themselves. And because that's how it's always been. I mean, I took art history in high school and it was like the patron was as important as the artist. Like that artist could not have done what they did without someone backing them up financially. So, that's basically what a label does. They pour money into you, but in the end you then have to recoup that money, and then and then once you do, you split it with them. So it's just it's an interesting scenario, and I feel like it puts people at a disadvantage off the bat in terms of then seeing a return on what they've put so much work into and then kind of handed over.
Yeah.
It was Yeah, it's an interesting model that I think is really shifting right now. I feel like they're going to have to think of something else because it's not, yeah, it's just not a given anymore what's going to hit and what people are going to really like. And people have such a direct conduit to other people in the past. I think labels have been, in order to get a vinyl made, to get your songs heard, you needed that entity, you needed that, channel. But now it's like you could just post that shit on Instagram and who knows, maybe it'll go crazy. It's like,
Yeah, right.
yeah.
And so I remember when Geist came out, I saw you a few times, I saw you open up for Ty Segall, and I saw you in LA, and especially like when at the Ty Segall show in New York, um, bef before some of your songs that you would perform, you would just discuss briefly what is happening in the country right now,
Mm,
and then when you did a song, I'm like, now all I'm thinking about is how this relates to the broader, what's going on right now. So with Past the Veil, um, what are some things, maybe some subject matters that people can expect to hear
mm,
when hearing this album?
yeah. The overarching theme of this record is turning towards your discomfort and kind of I think we have a habit of turning away from of judging the feeling rather than being curious about it, and it's all about kind of flipping your literal perspective so that you can like see yourself and not be judgmental but be so curious about what is happening. And I think when you switch your mindset like that, it just becomes so much easier to find self-acceptance and actual relief. You know, you're not just dissociating and then dealing with the same problems tomorrow. You wake up and maybe it's shifted, maybe it's a little bit different. Maybe like the fact that you spent, you know, a minute and a half with this really like intense aching feeling that you had, maybe it changed a little bit. So I think that this record is ultimately encouraging people and reminding people that like kindness and joy are so important and crucial in a time where, I mean, it just feels like, it just feels like the priorities are so out of whack collectively and societally, and that facade of, you know, everything's fine is so cracked and decaying at this point. And so it's only a matter of time before we kind of have, like in the tarot, there's that card called the Tower, where everything just crumbles. But it's not destruction for destruction's sake. It's destruction so that it can be rebuilt in a way that's much more sustainable. You know, like
Yeah.
in the end, the U.S. was like kind of built on sand in a sense. Like it just started wrong and kept going wrong. And now the argument that people are making is like, well, we've always done it this way, so we're always going to do it this way. And it's like, well, it's wrong. And like, we need to do things differently in so
Yeah.
many ways. But, you know, the way that I see people healing right now, I can tell that things are going to change, because you can't, like, I don't know, you can't shake people who have so much flexibility and curiosity within themselves, because it just becomes it becomes so much harder to like neg them, you know, like you can't get to people the same way when they don't have the insecurity that you know how to play to, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I think that that's kind of the theme of the record, is this like this journey into the self that like creates these challenges and then these rewards. So like that's another kind of, you know, the way that I structured the songs was like, okay, we're going into this challenging territory and then we're going to get a reward. We're going to dance a little, we're going to have some fun, and then we're
Yeah.
going to get a little deep again, and then we're going to have some fun. You know what I mean? So like,
Yeah.
I think ultimately the darkness, if we kind of make peace with it, there's a certain amount of discomfort that we have to like encourage each other to sit with and be with, and understand that, like, you know, peace after knowing chaos for so long can feel disruptive. So, you know, really sitting in that stillness and finding your place within it it takes a lot of work. It's just a different mindset, but ultimately, I mean, I think it's why we're here, is to just enjoy this experience, and, you know, having some kind of like some kind of solace within yourself is, I think, like a huge step in that direction for everybody to just like have a better time here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you maintain solace just generally in life?
I mean, I think practice, and also just like reminding each other. Like when I sing, there's an a cappella song called Awaken and Allow that I usually end every show with. And I take the opportunity to encourage people to do, you know, some kind of meditation, like drop into the heart space or give yourself attention, or, you know, say your name in your head. There's a couple different ones that I like to do. But, you know, to an extent, I think COVID was like this immense permission to be still, to reflect, to consider what your life is and what you're happy with and what you're not happy with. And I think once everything got going again, then we get back in the capitalist, like there's no room in the, you know, to stop on the hamster wheel. You just have to keep going. But I mean, that is so inorganic and like has so much, like, it discounts the way that nature is, you know. Nature is always ebbing and flowing. There's always going to be that like time of hibernation and then that time of emergence. So for me, I'm always like looking to, you know, in California, there's so much beautiful nature here. So like, I'll go to the ocean, I'll go outside, you know, I think being with friends and just like taking like a minute to recognize when you're trying to relax and your mind is just like absolutely torturing you through the process, and just being like, it's okay. Like talking to yourself. I think one of my favorite astrologers, Jessica Lanyetto, she calls it puppy talk, where you're just like, I see you, that you're like so in, you know, you're really like irked by the fact that you're relaxing right now, but like, it's okay. It's, you know, we can take a minute, you know? So I think just being really kind to yourself, and yeah, like not pushing through the anxiety, but like letting that be an indicator that you need to slow down and not speed up. You know what I mean? Like, I think sometimes we feel anxious and we're like, what do I need to do to get out of this? And it's like, what do I need to like what do I need to stop doing to get out of this? Like
Yeah.
flip the script, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Do you consider yourself a spiritual person?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
When it comes to like, do you believe in like a higher power, or do you feel like there's certain forces that we can't really explain, or
Yeah, I mean, I can't explain it to save my life, but I
yeah,
believe in nature and I
yeah,
believe in the self and I believe that we are, the universe experiencing itself. I think that there's just such like an immense connection between everything that we have forgotten that we're slowly remembering, and I just feel if I'm devoted to anything, it's just living creatively. Like I think that that is like the antithesis to evil is like creativity. So that's where my devotion lies, and that's fun because you don't have to be an artist to live creatively. You don't have to have like a modality, painting, singing, whatever. Like you just have to look at life with curious eyes, and then I think that solutions present themselves in the coolest ways.
wow, unbelievable.
Yeah.
That's a lyric. That's a song.
Yeah.
That's a credo to live by.
Absolute, dude.
I
Yeah.
love that. So
Yeah.
when it comes to all the best and going forward,
Mhm.
um, what are some things that you want to accomplish with this label in the immediate future?
I think getting clear on what it is for sure. Getting like a sick logo, getting like trying to figure out. I also like have this dream that it kind of encapsulates like all of the things that I like to do artistically. I love ceramics. I've started tattooing a little bit. I do hair. Like I do tarot. Like there's just this kind of like umbrella of interests that I have that I feel like could be. I don't know, it could just be like this anchor point for all of these kind of strings that I have going on. So, I don't know, maybe it'll help me like center a little bit to some extent or whatever, I don't know.
I
But
can't
I
wait to
also
see.
I'm working on more music too, so hopefully it'll all come out on that.
No,
Yeah.
that's great. I'm excited to see where this goes. I'm seeing like, just like a music community center of sorts. It doesn't have to
Totally.
be like a physical place, just an entity that exists that feeds creativity.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. I love that.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's great. Well, Shannon, I want to thank you so much again for coming on My Little Underground and talking about everything that you got going on. Here's your time to plug anything that you have coming up, along with your album and your new label and what have you.
Totally, yeah. Past the Veil is out next Tuesday, July 28th, and it comes out on all the best. And then I'm touring up the West Coast. I'm going to do California in August with Alila Diane, and then in October I'll do some more dates up the West Coast. And hopefully we'll branch out a little bit, but staying kind of close to home these days. It's been nice. Yeah.
It's fine. It's probably healthy.
Yeah.
Touring across the country is like, if you come to New York, you're cool, but if not, I'd rather
Right.
you just be healthy,
I'll be
than
I'll be
anything.
back. I can never stay away too long.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Shannon. This is always amazing to talk to you.
Thank you. Such a pleasure. Great to see you.
Yeah, likewise.
Bye.
My Little Underground.